Hola amigos, bien o no, saludos desde Medellín. Am, Hoy, en efecto, en este momento, estuve pensando por el tema de hoy y en verdad yo encontré what, eh, más correcto, cómo utilizar la palabra what and how we should use it better. Entonces, ese es el tema de hoy. What, or por qué. So, hello folks, here we are, back in Medellin. Luckily, the rain did stop this morning, so now it was marvellous afternoon sky. So I'm stood here thinking, well, what's the topic for today? And that is the topic for today. What? Now, the reason I'm going to talk about that briefly today is um, it's a word that gets confused a lot. We can use it in English, but we have to be careful how we use it so we don't end up with a misinterpretation of how we're using it. Because really, if we're asking what, we're looking for clarification, because something we've heard doesn't make sense and we'd like more information. But notice ways we can say it, and notice how the tone of voice or the implied tone of voice changes our meaning. So someone says something and I didn't quite hear what they said clearly, so I need to ask them to repeat it. If I say, "What did you say? What did you say?" It sounds like I'm cross. What did you say? Perhaps I was offended by what they said. What did you say? You can't say that to me. Which might not be what we want to communicate. And if we do come out with that, like, what did you say? The other person will think we've been cross, and then we'll probably have an argument that we didn't want. So to avoid that, all we do is we say, "I'm sorry. What did you say?" And just by putting the "I'm sorry" at the beginning, we soften the tone of the question. So it's no longer possible to interpret it as really, in any sense, an argument. It's purely a request. I'm sorry, what did you say? So that's a good way to show you how we soften the question, and then we can safely use what. Because if we just use what, it sounds very abrupt. So it's best always to soften it with something like, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" Or, in this sense, we can also use how. So we could say, "I'm sorry, how do you mean?" In the sense that we don't understand quite what that person means. "I'm sorry, how do you mean?" So there we go. That's the way to diffuse the potentially explosive effect of the word what. Generally, we would normally use what in a complete sentence, like a complete question. What do you think about that? That's fine. You don't need to diffuse that because that's a whole question. What do you think the weather will be like later? What do you think of that new show on TV? That's a fair question. But things like, what did you say? What do you mean? We might need to soften that slightly so the other person doesn't take offence. So that's our tip for today. Careful about how you use what. So I hope you found that one helpful. And for now, from Medellin, I'm still enjoying the afternoon sun. We'll say cheerio.